Everybody is talking about digital transformation, and automation is key, but DevOps are at times struggling to include security best practices as part of the deployment. Fortinet has just released a Fortiweb web solution designed for container-based environments that supports Docker container management. The following video will show you how easy it is for Fortinet to include web protection to be part of this deployment as a Docker instance in AWS. So one of the first things you want to do is to create an ECS cluster. Now your ECS is a regional grouping of one or more container instances on which you can run task requests. So click on the next steps. So here you can fill in the cluster by entering the cluster name. You can scroll down and you can select the key pair. And again, also from the networking capabilities, you can select the VPC that you've configured in previous steps, also the subnet and security groups. And again, the security groups, make sure it's defined so that you can access it from your machine. Click on create. You need to create a task definition, and the task definition is a text file in JSON format that describes one or more containers up to a maximum of 10. It can be thought of as a blueprint for the Fortiweb VM Docker container. Select the create new task definition. You can select Fargate or EC2 launch type according to your own needs. Configure the basic settings and the task execution IAM role as desired. So we can select the task memory as in our case 4 gig, and we can leave the CPU as 2 vCPU. We're going to click on add container. When a container starts, the ECS container agents pulls the latest version of the specified image and tag for the container to use. You can select the memory limits. In our case, we're just going to leave it at 4096. And the next thing you need to do is to configure the port mappings. Right, so the port mappings is map the ports for the EC2 launch type and Fargate launch type. Okay, so port 8 will be for the HTTP port access via the GUI, and 43 in our case is to access it via the web GUI. So for Fargate launch type, make sure that you have created the inbound rules for TCP in the security groups. Click at the advanced container configuration so you can set the environment and the environment variables, where you can enter the FortiAdmin password that you will use in the key field. If you don't configure this variable, the password will be the last 12 characters for the task ID. And if you are using it using Fargate, you need to include the environment as well as Fargate. You can create next. Click on the view task definition. Go back to select the cluster and select the cluster that you've just created. From there we can go to task and run a new task. A task is the instantiation of a task definition within a cluster. After you have created a task definition for the Fortiweb VM container within the ECS, you can specify the number of tasks that will run in your cluster. So on the run task page, select Fargate or the EC2 launch type as desired. We leave the task definition as it is. The platform we can leave on the latest. And then we just go and make sure that we are configuring that in our desired VPC with subnets. The security groups, I just want to make sure that I've selected the security groups that I've defined before so I can access it. Make sure that you've got auto-assigned public IP as enabled and select run task. You can go back to clusters and wait for the pending task to change to running task. All that's left is to connect to the Fortiweb VM Docker container image. Find the task that you've created and then click the name task to open the task details page. You will see the public IP address that you can use to connect. So use the browser to connect to the web UI using the specified port, in this case 43. Use the username admin and the password Fortiweb. Again, for your production environments or other environments, please don't use the same password. This is only for demo purposes. Once you're finished, you can update the license. You can use the Fortiweb without a license because it has a 15-day trial.